Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Courtney Ryan, and today we're going to be talking about this phenomenon that women think most men are ugly, or specifically here, 80% of men are ugly. So I've been seeing this a lot lately on TikTok, on YouTube. I haven't really watched any videos about it, but I've seen some thumbnails pop up and some different creators make videos about this topic specifically. So I wanted to offer a woman's perspective on this and see if it's maybe different from what other people are saying. I'm actually going to be going through a study that was done, which is why people are talking about this in the first place. And then also a Reddit thread that I found that kind of discusses this phenomenon that's going on that I think just helps add some different perspectives into this topic. So let's get into it. Okay, so women find 80% of men unattractive, says crazy study. And this was in 2018, so this is nothing new. I just recently found out about this. I didn't know about it. And I just wanted to offer, again, my perspective as a woman, which some of you care about, some of you don't. So this says, women are often thought of as picky, especially where men are concerned. True, we all know that from being on my channel and talking to different women. Some single women are known to have lists of characteristics that their ideal man must possess, like great abs, a sense of humor, a six-figure income, and a nice car. Sounds about right, give or take some, depending on the woman. When a woman meets a potential mate, she has to decide which of these traits are deal breakers and which she can let go. No matter how selective a woman might be, some have strict physical attributes from their must-haves list, as an OkCupid study found that women find 80% of men unattractive. OkCupid looked at their users and came up with this chart. It says, if you look at the gray line, you can see that women rate a whopping 80% of men as worse looking than medium. Oh, you're just medium ugly. That's pretty harsh, ladies, yeah. On the other hand, when it comes to actually making contact with a potential date, women shift their expectations only minimally ahead of the curve, which is better than the males who go after the women that are way out of their league. With basic ratings so off-kilter, the two curves suggest some unique interpretations of the female thought process. The most striking one is that the average-looking female believes that most men aren't hot enough for her, but she decides to message them anyway. Oh, yeah, this is nothing new here. I mean, if you ever watched Kevin Samuels in the past, you would have, and I don't want to sound mean when I say this, okay? I mean this in the most kind, maybe kind is not the word. I mean this in the most respectful way. Very average looking women would be on there requesting men who make over $100,000, who are over 6 feet. They want like a $200,000 engagement ring. The list of demands is just outrageous, right? Is every woman like that? No. I hope that from my channel you've gathered that not every single woman is looking for those things, but a lot of women have crazy unrealistic standards on their list of requirements, right? Nothing new. To show that some women may be operating on a very different scale, OkCupid shared some pictures of men who are fine looking, some might say cute even, but that women have rated them as significantly less attractive than the so-called medium. Oh, first guy? 7, super cute. Cute, 7. 6. Probably 5.5. That's still medium. Okay, maybe none of them are Ryan Gosling, but if they weren't Ryan Gosling, would you still rate them high on the hot meter? From this, one might think that it's the female, not the male, who has unrealistic standards of what average men should look like. It seems like women are way beyond picky. So I put together some thoughts of mine after reading this article of why are women so picky on dating apps specifically? My first thought here is just about dating apps in general. I think women have a tendency to be extra picky and extra harsh when they're on a dating app, because you're quite literally comparing people that you're swiping through. You're swiping from one guy to the next, and all you really have to base an opinion on is how attractive he is in his photos, right? Let's be honest. No one really reads bios and the rest of your profile as much as they are concerned with your photos. So if you're not that attractive and you suck at taking photos of yourself, you're screwed. So again, I do think the over pickiness and harshness is elevated even more extreme. Again, when you're on a dating app in that scenario where you're swiping through men and you're seeing man after man after man and you're comparing them. You're always comparing the next guy to the last guy and the last guy to the next guy. I mean, it's a very toxic situation if you think about it. And I don't think in-person real life interactions are nearly as harsh. And I think also in-person interactions are much different because you're getting to experience a whole person. You're getting to experience the complexity of a human, the way they interact with you, their mannerisms, their voice. Just being in person with them, I think, is a much different experience than the way that you experience a person or a potential romantic interest on a dating app, especially when you're just swiping and looking through photos, and it's very surface level and shallow, basically just judging a person off of the way that they look and their appearance or how good their photos are. I mean, I've even had men submit their profiles to me for videos in the past where I went through their profiles and told them what maybe they could do better, or where they were struggling, or where they were doing a really good job. And something I saw commonly was a lot of these guys are attractive guys. I mean, 6, 7, 8, but their photos are where they really struggle. I think a lot of guys have a very hard time with photos. So you could even be an attractive guy, and if you're not the best at taking photos, that makes you look less attractive on your dating profile. So a ton of different things go into that. Ultimately, I think that dating apps are they're just really tough. They're tough for guys who, again, aren't that good at taking photos, or who maybe aren't the most conventionally attractive. So I've talked a ton about dating apps in the past on my channel. There comes a point when I think they're not really worth your time, but I think that this is kind of the future of dating, especially as people get more and more hesitant to approach because of, getting roasted on TikTok, or, charged with harassment or whatever. So that's my thought about dating apps specifically, and why women are maybe more picky in that scenario. But when you're in that situation of a dating app where, again, you're just comparing people and swiping and solely basing off attractiveness, I think that's when people get incredibly nitpicky. And I think ultimately this is why women give more harsh or very low ratings, because you come across one guy and you're like, okay, well, he might be a 6, but what's the next guy gonna look like? Because what I'm comparing him to might change the way I view him. You know what I mean? It's just a very complex, weird thing that we're doing as humans, comparing people on a dating app. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. So then also here, there's a chart of how men rank women on the dating app versus how women rank men. And they're clearly, pretty different. So I wanted to talk about why I think there are a lot of differences between the two. On dating apps specifically, it is no surprise that women get far more options and matches than men do. I mean, dating apps are skewed to be in the favor of women. I think there are also 40 some or 30 some percent of women on dating apps, and 60 something percent of men. So even the amount of men versus women is very skewed. There's a large difference. So women have so many more options than men do because there are way more men on the dating apps. So women are getting way more matches, way more messages, and therefore have more options. I mean, they genuinely do have more options because there are way more men on the apps than women. When you feel like you have more options, in return, it makes you feel like you're able to be more picky. And again, as the article mentioned, studies have shown this to be true for even, average looking women, or women who aren't maybe that attractive in the grand scheme of things either. And I don't say that to be hurtful or mean, but generally, people who are very average looking tend to still have unrealistic or very high standards for men. And I have found specifically that a lot of the women who have incredibly unrealistic standards for men, or hold men to a very high standard, hold themselves to very low standards. And that's true through things, even shows that we see here on YouTube, like Kevin Samuels or Fresh and Fit or things like that. And you're seeing the way that women are justifying the way that they think and view men, and why they deserve certain things and why they're entitled to certain things. So again, that's nothing new here. We've seen that a lot here on YouTube. But I do think a big reason for this is because women feel as though they have more options, and on dating apps specifically, they do. So because there are more men on dating apps, that obviously increases the options for women and decreases the options for men. So when men are then rating women, they aren't getting as many matches. They aren't getting as many options. They aren't seeing as many women. So they're not being as harsh or as picky as the women are in return. Another aspect that I didn't see in that article or anyone really talk about is photo editing. Whether it be straight up Photoshop or a filter, almost every single woman I see online is altering their photos. I mean, women are doing this on their Instagram stories. They're using all these crazy filters on Snapchat, on Instagram, on TikTok, and they're using those same filters and Photoshop on their dating app profiles. And you don't ever really see men doing this, or at least I haven't. And honestly, when a woman sees a man using a filter, I think that she would think that that's very unattractive, but yet it's a very normal thing, an accepted thing that women do. I hate filters. I don't use filters because I think it's really bad for your mental health. I used to use filters on my Instagram story, and I would take videos and photos of myself, and like, you look totally different, and then you go look in the mirror and you're like, oh, I wonder why I hate myself. I wonder why everyone out here hates the way they look and hates themselves because of these crazy filters. Anyway, that's a whole different story. I can make a whole video on what I think about filters. Now, many women out there are beautiful, don't get me wrong. So many women don't even need filters or Photoshop or any of that, but yet they're still using them so they look even better than they would normally because they're using these Photoshops and filters and all these editing apps. So men are seeing that and obviously aren't gonna rate the girls lower because they're enhanced versions of themselves. They've got perfect teeth and perfect skin and airbrushed on makeup that isn't even real. I mean, it's crazy what some of these apps are doing. So it's no surprise that then that would be another reason why men rate women higher, because they look better in their photos. And you never see men using filters or Photoshop, or at least I don't. I never see men using any of that. So that was just something interesting I was thinking about, and you guys can let me know what you think down below. If you're a guy who's on a dating app, how many women out of 10 would you say are using a filter or Photoshop? Let me know down below. I would just love to know. And this is not to like pick on anybody or be mean. It's just a fact. Okay, and then I stumbled across this Reddit thread. And you know how Reddit is. It's just like a cesspool. But when you find a good thread, you find a good thread and you get some good information. So I found this thread on Purple Pill Debate, and the title is About Women Finding 80% of Men Unattractive. Is it really hypergamy, or are most men just effing ugly? This guy said, and it's a guy that posted this, by the way, he said, out of curiosity, I used every dating app I have installed on my phone as a woman looking for men. What happened next has scarred me for life. Holy crap, were men on each one freaking repulsive. I mean, almost grotesquely ugly, with bad frames, super fat, and the dorkiest, most stupid looking poses. It took me a lot of swipes to find a dude who wasn't hard to look at. I genuinely thought that women were swiping left on decent looking dudes, but most dudes are not decent looking, at least on dating apps. For the first time, I couldn't blame women for barely swiping right. Is it really high standards, or are many dudes not as average as we think? Very interesting topic, and as someone who used dating apps back in my day, I remember there being men on there who took really bad photos and maybe who weren't that attractive, but there were also a lot of men who were attractive and did take good photos. So I think it's probably around 50-50. And even you guys who have submitted your profiles to me in the past, as I mentioned earlier in the video, a lot of you are very handsome. You just maybe weren't the best at taking photos, or you weren't utilizing your best photos as the first photos. So then someone sees your first photo as a really ugly photo of you, or a bad angle, or just maybe not the most flattering, and they don't even bother to scroll through the rest because they're turned off by the first photo. So there are a lot of different tips and tricks that I would recommend for your dating app if you would like to put a little bit more effort into it. But again, sometimes I feel like a lot of guys think that it's not even worth their time or effort because they just really don't get matches. They have to pay all this money in order to get any matches or messages, and they just find that it's not worth it. So this is a personal decision, totally up to you. I don't want to say, like, here's all the things you need to be doing, and if you're not doing these things, this is why it's not working for you, because I think some guys just get to a point where they need to realize, okay, I've done all the things that Courtney suggested, and it's still not working, so I'm not going to continue to spend any more money on this because it's a waste of my money and my time. So if that's a personal decision you've made, totally fine, I get it. But on that topic, as someone who has looked at a lot of your profiles and as someone who was on dating apps in the past, I know that there are a lot of attractive guys out there, or guys who are just average, a little bit above average, who just don't know their angles. They don't know how to look flattering in a photo, or they're like standing in a weird way, posing a weird way, holding the camera down below so that you're like enhancing your double chin. Photography is like an art form, right? I mean, I know my angles. There are certain angles where I don't look as pretty. I know what angles I look good in. I take all my Instagram photos from the same angle because I think I look the best that way. It's like a whole thing, a talent to really know the angles that you look the best in. So if you don't know that, and you're a guy who is just average on a dating app, average on top of not taking good photos of yourself, Dunzo. And again, I don't say that to be mean or harsh. I'm just being really honest. So then someone commented and said, a lot of guys are indeed unattractive and present themselves online even worse. It's a combination of not putting effort into their appearance and not knowing how to take a good picture. You'd be surprised what a difference good clothes and a haircut plus proper angles and lighting can make. Most guys don't know or don't care about that or think it's gay. And then this person says, yeah, I'll admit that. To this day, I still don't feel like taking selfies because it always felt uncharacteristically vapid or like, ugh, this is what women do, not me. We also aren't big on stopping the action to take group photos or to ask one of our guy friends to take a solo photo of us, so many men tend to not have many great photos to choose from. I've said it before and I'll say it again, splurge on a professional photographer, get some business pics and some casual pics. Yeah. And then this person says, the excuses are always the same. They are failing because they are not trying. LOL, no, it's because they gave up and see no reason to try. In a lot of my videos, I give you guys suggestions on things you can do to elevate your appearance or to make yourself a more attractive version of yourself. I don't want you guys to be someone that you're not or to like feel like a totally different person. But even me, there are things that I do personally to make myself more attractive. I have a personal trainer that I work out with 3 days a week. I get my hair done. I wax and tweeze my eyebrows. I go to the dentist twice a year to get my teeth cleaned and make sure everything's looking good. I use really expensive skincare products. I get facial treatments done. I mean, there are so many things that I do personally to make myself look better, and I know that so many other women do that as well, and there are men out there that do it too. Getting routine haircuts, cleaning up your facial hair, taking care of your skin, dressing well, finding clothes that work for you, finding glasses frames that work with your features. I mean, there are so many different things that go into physical attractiveness and your appearance, and I do think it's evident when people put in effort versus people who don't put in effort. So my whole thing here is you ultimately will do whatever you want to do. My channel is a place where I hope you can get a little bit of inspiration, take what you need, leave what you don't. I might not be your cup of tea for every aspect of your life, but I hope you leave my channel feeling like, okay, I feel good. Like there are things I can do to make myself a better me, and not even for women or the people around you, but literally just for yourself. When I put in the effort to the way that I look, when I work out, when I feel like I look good, I feel better too. And I don't think that's a surface level or shallow thing to say. I think confidence is really important for every aspect of your life. And sometimes it just takes a little bit of work on your appearance to make that happen for you. But ultimately, I think it's worth it. If you don't, that's okay too. But I just want guys that are watching me to know that there are things that you can do, regardless of the cards you've been given, the genetics you have, to make yourself more attractive. And a lot of that stems from being a better you on the inside as well. And of course, there are guys who don't have to put in as much effort into their appearance, the same way that there are women who don't have to put as much effort into their appearance. There are beautiful 10 out of 10 women out there who look good with no makeup, who don't do their hair, who don't do anything, and they're flawless. And that's amazing for them. But that's not going to make me feel like, oh, just because she's pretty doesn't mean I can't be pretty too. There's room for everybody, all right? We can all be a little bit better than we were yesterday. And I think putting in a little bit of effort goes a long way. Anyway, I'm going off on a rant now, and I'm getting off my subject here. But I think there are a lot of different reasons why this study is the case. I think it's interesting to look at it from some different perspectives and, just throw some different things out there with like the photo editing, the fact that women are more harsh on dating apps because they're comparing all these men and have way more options. There are a ton of things that go into it. But anyway, I just wanted to kind of chat with you guys and get a conversation going about it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. If you liked this video or found it helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel to be in the loop for when I release new content. If you haven't already, be sure to follow me over on Instagram at Courtney Christine Ryan. I love connecting with all of you guys over on there as well. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.